Hello and welcome to our 66th session wherein we are going to discuss about version control. Whether you are working alone or in a team, an important aspect of project development is deciding how you will manage your project file. If you are a solo developer, there's always some level of risk associated with keeping the only instance of your project on a local hard drive. If the drive fails, the project is lost. Keeping multiple backup copies of your project on different drives or stored in the cloud can be cumbersome to keep up to date. If you are a developer on a team, you have to determine how everyone will assess the project and how to ensure that the work one person is doing doesn't overwrite or damage the work of someone else. Fortunately, the solution to all this issue is quite simple. It is version control. If the idea of working with version control seems intimidating, don't worry. Many people feel overwhelmed by the idea of version control when they are first getting started with the development. False starts and confusion when attempting to set up the first repository can make new developers hesitant to try again, despite how helpful version control can be. If you fall into this category, take heart that you are not alone and try again in this project. Now let us understand what is this version control. Version control, which is also sometimes called as source control, is a system that manages and tracks information. Version control systems can be configured to store, manage, and track changes to any kind of files, software, websites, and other data. Individuals, small teams, and large organizations will often use a version control system to help backup and manage complex projects. Since version control systems work with cloud storage services, you can take advantage of useful features such as backup storage, revision tracking, project management. And in this session, you will learn about version control systems which use cloud storage as opposed to those that use localized storage, which is more suitable for special team circumstances. Now, who uses this version control? When multiple team members are involved with developing coordinated projects or software, it can become difficult to manage without a version control system in place. Everyone needs it. As a project becomes more complex, team members need to stay up to date with changes their fellow teammates make. If they don't coordinate consistently, they will face inefficiencies, bottlenecks, lost code, rework, and lot of frustration. The purpose of version control is to avoid these issues. Now, let us select our version control tool. Version control systems vary depending on your project needs. Unity has its own version control solution called as Unity Version Control, which is available as a package. However, for this learning project, we will be using GitHub, an extremely popular version control solution that you are likely to encounter during your development career. It's also easy to work with, especially for beginners with version controls. To make things even simpler, we will guide you to use GitHub Desktop, an easy-to-use application that allows you to access GitHub projects through a graphical user interface instead of from a command line using Git commands. If you are already familiar with GitHub or prefer to work with the command line, feel free to move to the next session. If you are interested in reading more about how Unity integrates with other version control systems, please refer to the Get Started with Version Control or Working with Unity and Helix Core Pre-Force documents that I have attached in the Patreon page. Now, let us start working on GitHub. Now, come to your browser and just type GitHub. This will bring you to this github.com website. We have to sign in into GitHub. If you already have an account, click on sign in. If you doesn't have an account, either you can click on sign up or in the main screen itself, in the enter your email, click on sign up for GitHub. Enter a strong password, choose a username, select your region. You can optionally enable this receive occasional product updates and now click on create account. Open your email account and you will have a launch code here. Enter this launch code. You are ready to start signing. First, enter your username or email, enter your password, and you are now ready to sign in and use it. So once you sign in, you see this home page and you have this create repository. To create and manage repository, we are going to install another package called as GitHub Desktop. So come into the browser and type GitHub Desktop, and the very first link here, download GitHub Desktop. Click on this and you have download for Windows. You can also download for any other platform like Mac or Linux. Here I will click on download for Windows. Once it is downloaded, come to your download folder, double click on this exe file. You see this welcome to GitHub Desktop, and you can click on sign in to github.com. This will open a page in your browser. Since I have already signed in and P. Satvik, you can click on continue here, and this will ask for you to authorize desktop. Just click on this authorize desktop. In this pop-up, choose open github-desktop.exe, and in the configure git page, keep the name as P. Satvik, email is psatvik@gmail.com, and just click here finish. And now you are ready to use your GitHub Desktop. To begin with, we are going to start by creating our own new repository. I am going to click on this plus icon to create a new repository. I am going to call my new repository as object-oriented _ programming Unity example. You can give a description, example of object-oriented programming. You have to select the path where you want this repository to be created. Now I will click on choose. On any of my drive, I am going to create a new folder, and I call this as GitHub repositories. I will select this folder. If you want to initialize a README file, you can enable this. Come down in gitignore, click and scroll down, and you will see Unity here. Select Unity. License, leave it as none. Now click on create repository. Now once the repository is created, as of now this repository is empty. Come here and click on show in Explorer. If you have come into your folder options, and if you have come into view, show hidden file folders and drive, you will see this hidden folder .git, and then you have .git attributes, .git ignore, and a readme file. You can come into YouTube video page or in the e-learning description. Scroll down, and in the YouTube page description, click on more. You are provided with a Patreon link. Click on this Patreon link. This will bring you to the Junior Programmer Series Patreon page, and if you scroll down, you have this 66 version control start.zip file. Click on this to download it. Once it is downloaded, come to your downloads folder, right click, choose to extract all these files to a folder. If I double click and open this folder, you have Junior Programmer Starter files. If I double click and open it, you see asset, package, and project settings. 3 folders. Press Ctrl A to select everything. Right click and copy or cut these files. Now coming into GitHub, click on show in Explorer, and in the GitHub repositories folder that you just now created, right click and paste these files. If you come back to GitHub Desktop, you can see the list of files that we have added, 170 changed files. Now come down here in the summary, and I am going to call this as original commit, and in description I will type as old input Unity system file, and then click commit to main. All these files are committed. You have one option here to publish this repository to your online GitHub account. So if I click on publish repository, it is asking me the name, the description. I will leave it as it is, and I will disable this, keep this code private, so that this repository is made public. Now click on publish repository. All these 170 files will now be updated onto your GitHub account. If you come to your github.com account, and if you log in into your account, you can now see here a new repository created, and if I click on this, you can see all these main files in your repository. We have successfully created a GitHub account, and we have uploaded all our Unity files as a repository in our GitHub account. To open this in Unity, open Unity Hub. Now come into the project. I will come here to add project from disk. Browse to the folder where you created your GitHub repository. It is in H, we created GitHub repository, and you have here object-oriented programming Unity example. Select it and click on open. There is a version conflict. Whatever file is shared to you was done in Unity version 6, but right now the version installed in my machine is 6.3. I can choose it to convert to 6.3 and then click here open with 6.3. Click on change version. If it asks for any firewall check, click on allow. You get this project upgrade pop-up. Click on continue. You see a warning about autographic API. It is asking us to re-enable autographic API. Click on confirm here. Wait for the Unity project to open. Once the Unity project is open, see that in the layout you have selected the Satvik layout, and if it is not there, go to load layout from file, browse to your downloads folder and select satvik_layout.wlt file. This file can be downloaded from the Patreon page. Click on open, and you have one warning here telling us that right now this project is built using the old Unity input system. If you go to edit project setting, come into the player, and if you scroll down and open the other setting, and if you scroll down, you can see the active input handling is set to old. As of now, I leave it as old. I will close this. Now that we have set up our project using version control, we are ready to explore the main project that we will use to both practice programming and connect the principles of object-oriented programming, which is in short called as OOP, with your own code. So let us get started. In this project, we will be working on a resource management simulation application. Resource management is at the heart of a popular genre of games, but these simulations are also commonly used in educational context. For example, to explore sustainability and economics, and also in industry. This type of project is particularly good fit to help you explore programming systems and architecture, as they often include user interaction to enable them to influence the simulation, transition between scenes to enable further customization by the user, system design for extension to increase the complexity of the simulation. Let us explore this simulation. In the project panel, I will come into the scene, and you have a file here called as main. Double click to open this. I will come to the play button, and I am going to play this main. Now in this game, you can now see coming into the game view, I can press W and move forward, A backward, S to the left and D to the right. You can see that there are 3 forklifts, that is the transport unit. One is here, and as soon as I click on it, you see a pop-up showing me the transporter. I will click on the second, and this is also transporter 3. If I click on this, you can see a resource type 2 and another is resource type 1. So we have 2 resource file and 3 transport units. I will left click on any of the transport unit. I will right click on any of the resource file. So you can now see immediately my forklift is taking all the resource from this file and it is moving to the loading section, this red area over here. Now similarly, if I select another forklift here and if I right click on the another resource file here, so you can see it is lifting it from there and bringing it onto this red area. Now similarly, I can also select the third one here and right click and choose some other resource file. So I can select any of the resource files like this, or I can select this, there is a clash, and right click and select this so that it will move here now. See, you can see it has been moved here. So this is the simulation that is running and this is the project that we have just now opened. I also have a back to menu button and if I click on it, I can go back, but right now this is not working because we have not still enabled it. Right now, I will stop the playback. So we have just explored this entire scene. Now coming back to version control, I will open my GitHub back. Once I launch the program in Unity, it has created some 10 changed files. I can come into the summary, original project after launch, and in description I will mention original project after launching it in Unity, and then I will click on commit these 10 files to main. Once the files are committed, now the repository is already created in my GitHub. Now I have to only push these changes. So now I can click on push origin. All these 10 files will be uploaded, and if I click on view on GitHub, and you can see the repository, it has been updated here. This is what we call as pushing and pulling changes. When you use version control, you will save your changes to the project via a cloud repository or file storage directory with a note documenting the change that you have made. This means that you will be able to pull or download and open up the most recent version of a project, making changes to it locally, and then push your changes back to the cloud repository. When multiple people are working on the same project simultaneously, they can sometimes make different changes to the same file. For example, one person might change the texture assigned to a property asset in a Unity project, and another might change its position in the scene. Version control manages the project files to combine and unify all the changes in a process known as merge. Occasionally, the change made to a project file may affect the same values. When this happens, the version control system is unable to merge the changes together, resulting in a merge conflict, which requires a developer's input. The version control system will identify the conflict, typically displaying the two values side by side. The developer then determines which one to keep in order to resolve the conflict. One of the major benefits of version control is keeping track of all changes over time. If any changes are in conflict or you decide it's best to revert to an earlier version, you can go back to any previous version of your project at any point in time and restore it. So version control has major benefit for both solo developers and those working together on a team. Although this may seem intimidating at the start, version control systems are powerful tools for maintaining a project as you work. So in our next session, we will discuss about how to pull this project back into our machine and start working on it. So with this, I will conclude this session.